What's up, people? Therapy Without a Degree, chapter, I don't know, man. I be losing count, you know what I'm saying? I think we're almost out of the 170s. We're about to hit 180 coming soon. But we here. Also, you know, it's been 4 years since Therapy Without a Degree got started. All right, so we're going to give it up. We're going to get some air horns in here. Sorry, Clint, man. You can't hear the air horns, but they're going off.
I'll
4
imagine.
years. We rocking for 4 years. Let's go. All right. This episode is either on the anniversary or right after. Probably right after, because I want to get an episode where we got the whole squad on for the whole anniversary. But
absolutely.
Word. So we here. It's just me in the house. No Zane, no Natalie, or no Tay today. But we got Princess. Princess is here chilling out, hanging out somewhere. But then we got a special guest. He's not in the building, not in the room. We're virtual.
Not in the state.
Yeah. What up, Clinton?
Not much, man. You know, just chilling out here in Illinois, enjoying that Midwest weather.
Yeah, man. Yo, how is it over there? What's your weather like? Let's talk about that.
Gloomy. I haven't seen the sun in 3 days.
Jesus. But is it always like that? Or, like, how's your winter? Do you guys get a winter? Do you not?
We get hardcore winter, man. Last year wasn't that bad. Last year was about 8 inches. The year before that, though, was like a foot and a half, 2 feet of snow.
What's the name of your city? I'm going to look you up right now.
My nearest city would be Springfield, capital city.
Springfield. You know, it's funny that we talk about this first because this is actually something I'm getting into with you in a little while. Is actually kind of about your location. So let me see, because I'm ignorant and I don't know. Oh, okay. So yeah, you are up there. So yeah.
Yeah, pretty close to Chicago, about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
About an hour and a half. Yeah, man. I lived, the closest I lived to you was by Lake Erie.
Okay.
I lived in by Erie, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So that's still a ways away, but yeah. Yeah, I get you.
It's still a ways, but it's heading that way. So I would, yeah. All right. So what'd you do all day, man?
Actually, I have been writing my first feature.
Hey, look at that. You're getting sound effects, man. You're going to want to listen back. You're going to want to listen back to this pod because you're going to get mad air horns, mad gunshots.
Yeah, so I already finished the script. It was 79 pages, but then I went through and I'm adding about 30 more pages. So it's going to be close to a 2-hour feature right there.
Huh. That's interesting. So how many, 60-something pages right now, you said?
79.
79. Are you a firm believer that a minute is a minute in fill time? Like, I'm 1 page is a minute in fill time?
It just depends on what you're filming, you know, because if it's an action thing, you could have a full page, but it would be about 30 seconds of film. But if it's like long dialogue, drama, it could be about a minute 20, a minute 30 per page. So I do about a rule of about 50 seconds per page. I mean, standard people follow that minute per page, but I've seen it fluctuate, you know. Just really depends on what you're filming, what you have going on. If it's a lot of dialogue, it's going to be a lot faster per page, but if it's a lot of like action sequences, it's going to be it's not a really easy rule to follow.
Yeah, but it is interesting because someone told me about it recently because I wasn't aware of it, and then it was funny. I was thinking about that today. It's funny you bring that up because today we finally laid out all the like, we did all the cuts for the TV episode we're doing, and we like pretty much like know exactly the length of it. And I was really curious because it's like I've never done anything like show wise. We've done shorts and stuff, so we kind of have an idea, a ballpark. But when you're just writing and you're just letting it go, and I tried to stick around 23 pages.
Right, you know, your standard 30-minute episode gap with like credits and stuff like that. Yeah,
and I got lucky actually. Yeah, it's at like 23 right now before B-roll.
Right. Word. Yeah, it's a strange thing because my short film I already did. I was talking about it with you when I had you on my podcast.
Yeah.
It's finished. The audio, we got about another week of audio editing, and we'll have a final product. It was about 16 pages of script, but it came out to 14 and a half minutes with credits, just because there's a lot of action going on in that script. So it was like really fast paced. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I definitely, I get what you're saying. So are you going in pretty much detail when you're writing your action stuff?
No, it's more like a line of Hank runs out the room, and then there's a lot of, your scene transitions. You're doing a lot of breaking because you have to break all that action with, like, you enter a different room, that's a different scene, you know what I mean? So if you have somebody running through their house through 5 different rooms, you got 5 different scenes right there. So that's going to eat up a lot of your page space.
Yeah, that does make sense, yeah. I was just curious, because when I wrote the Scream one, even that, I was just like, I didn't go crazy detail. I was just like, Ghostface and girl fight.
Yeah, you don't want to go into too detail. I mean, I'm writing a Batman short film, and I'm kind of going into detail with that because I want to make sure that I know exactly what's happening. Like, I'm almost breaking it down like comic book panels, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's different, because it's like, that's...
The fights in Batman are, like, emotional, so you have to capture the emotion in the fight sequence, whereas in, like, Scream or something, it's just, like, they're tussling around. Nobody... until you get to that end goal. Whereas with Batman, it's like everything has to have an emotional weight.
Yeah,
so
man.
with that one, those pages might be a very long script, but it might take up just as much time as me writing down Batman fights a dude.
Yeah, no, you're right, man, because Batman it's very different. Like, you want to know how the cape is, you want to know if he's hitting you with the spikes, like, you want to know all that type of stuff. Like,
especially for your choreographers, which, I don't know if you've worked with fight choreographers before, but I got a couple on staff now. And, like, I mean, I have to have, like, the full shebang for this Batman film because I want it to be, aces. I want it to be 110%. So I got, like, all those prop guns, like the blank firing guns. I got, like, all that stuff, you know what I mean? So, like, they want to know details when they get into their fight sequences.
See our audience, he's smart. He uses props, not like Joe. He's the smart one. I ended up bringing a real knife to Scream.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't follow my lead. Then a week later, I found out people actually make the buck one, because I'm so psycho that I wanted the real knife. So I wanted the real specific buck knife. And I was looking on Amazon and I couldn't find none. But then after I released it and made the film, then I'm finding all these people on the Facebook and stuff who actually make fake big 120s. I'm like, yeah, that would have been great. So I didn't have to scare the shit out of my actress.
I got you. I'll actually forward you some websites I use now that I know you're in a need of websites. Like the site I use, they have like 1700s colonial muskets and stuff like that are like prop weapons, and it's dope. I got a guy who's the only reason I found it was because this guy, he wants me to do a script for him. That's like a short film of colonial times, and I was like, all right, well, damn, how am I gonna find this? Just started scrolling through the website, and I was like, holy crap. And I was like, here's this one. He's like, that's like 20 years later because it's got a firing pin, but I guess we can use it or adjust the script. And I was like, all right, you really want to be historically accurate, man.
Yeah. We only used it real quick though. Like, you seen it. I don't know, you saw the Scream short?
You shared it.
It was super quick. It was super quick.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see anybody getting their fingers cut off or anything. So no. I think you using that real knife is fine.
It's craziness, man. But yeah, so I guess obviously listeners, you guys could already tell Clint here is a filmmaker. But that's good that you were working on that today. What else, man, besides your craft, besides your business, what else you do today, man?
I mean, honestly, today's just been one of those lazy about days, I mean, I did I've recently gotten into MMA work. I'm about a month into my training. So I just did some of my exercises, going out, practicing my katas and things like that. Did about a 2-mile jog, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, 100 pull-ups a day. You know what I mean?
That's fire, man. Is that new to you, or is that something you've done? But fitness. Like, is that new to you, or is that something that
I've done fitness on and off my whole life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I used to be in Kaju Kempo. It's a martial art, a Hawaiian martial art. I was in that when I was in like.
You know
between...
it's hard when you can barely say it. Like I can't say that, so I know it's hard.
I did it about 12 to 15, and then parents couldn't afford the classes anymore. Same story as always. But this guy I met through film. Guys, if you just want to meet people that know random things, get into film. He wants me to do a bunch of scripts for him, like editing and then promotion and directing them. And I was like, well, here's my rates. I charge about $250 a day, and then for scripts I charge $5 a page up to $20. I mean, up to 20 pages, and then every page after that is $2. So you start leveling out, you get a little cheaper, but
Exactly.
And he was like, well, I can't afford that. And I was like, well, you train martial arts and stuff, so how about exchange of services? I do my thing, you do your thing, and we both end up cool, and I'll even make a promotional video for your school,
That's fire, man. That's how you got to collab.
Yeah, you got to treat each other how you want, man. And, like, he's thinking in about 7 or 8 months I might get into a tournament or something. So
that's good shit, bro.
We'll see. I'll be film director, podcaster, writer, actor, and MMA fighter. So
that's fire, man. Let's go. I'm letting the gunshots off for you. We got this, man. You're going to be doing the stunts for the actors. Be like, yo, MMA I got this. Hold the fucking clapper. Hold the camera. And you're going to be in there and doing the stunts too, man.
That's the goal, man. I got a couple action roles I got cast in coming up next year, and I was like, I want to learn fighting so I can do my own stunts. So I was like, might as well learn how to kick ass and look like I can kick ass on camera. You know what I mean?
Nah, man, that's fire, bro. It's kind of funny. We kind of have something almost similar going on here a little bit because we have a feature that Zane's writing. So right. Zane's writing a feature right now, and it's a lot of it's like a thriller action. So there's definitely gonna be a lot of like little fight stuff. And Phil actually works with a guy. It's funny because we posted the photo today of a guy who knows like crazy karate and all these different type of stuff that I don't know the names of.
Right.
And he's gonna actually sit down and teach the actors and we're gonna really go through that. And I was like, oh, that's gonna actually be really fucking cool because it's like you get to learn some like self-defense stuff.
Yeah,
and
right.
You'll also be able to do your own stunts,
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going through, and it was just like, originally he was like, I can teach you stunt work, or I could teach you how to like actually fight, which can be used as stunt work. And I was like, well, I might as well know how to fight. Like, you never know what's gonna happen in the street. You know what I mean? And like his thing, it's like a blend that he made up himself. That's actually, I think he said just last year it became recognized across all the federations in America as a martial art. So it's called Umke. It's like almost like Muay Thai, kickboxing, and BJJ mixed together. It's really interesting. Like the whole concept of it is like, I'm a big anime fan. I told you that before. And like comic books, the whole idea of it is like harnessing your inner power and externalizing it. You know what I mean? Like almost like Goku and his ki or whatever. You know what I mean? Just like. Or Chakra from Naruto, and I was like, well, you just got me with just that part right there.
Yeah, he's like, you got me sold
right there, man. But it's actually really dope. Like, the only reason I asked him is because, like, on our set, you get a bunch of guys with a bunch of fake guns, and you end up having people running around with, like, blank firing weapons, like, pointing them at each other like they're actual guns and stuff, and breaching and clearing. And, like, some guy pointed at him. He's like, you want me to show you how to disarm you? And the guy was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And he's like, all right, be prepared. The guy just, like, 2 seconds, the gun was from this guy's hand to this guy's hand, and this guy's on the ground. And I was just like, holy shit. Like, okay.
You learn a lot of cool stuff, man. Like I noticed, like, when you're doing the film, you know what I'm saying? Like, because some stuff is like, all right, well, you want to learn it to do it, and that's pretty dope, man. And what's funny is I actually have the same kind of thing going on. I just realized with someone that I work with, the guy Matt that's starring in the pilot of the show. He's a trainer, and I work with him. I do a lot of work with him, but we do collaboration. I do his social media, and he trains me 3 times a week for boxing.
Yeah, there you go. And that's boxing's a martial art too, man. Like some people talk down on it, but I mean boxing, like. You're knocking people's teeth in, man.
Yeah.
You're quick on your feet. You're knocking people's teeth in. You know what I mean? That's all it is, man.
For me though, like I'm just doing it just for the workout. Like I would never do something fighting. Like I
I'm
never
not.
wanna
I'm
fight.
not.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in the fighting either. I was like, I
Yeah.
stunt work, but then I was like, I'm walking. I'm in a bar. Somebody disrespects one of my friends or something. Like, I'm a protective guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm small, so I need to know how to like whoop a guy's ass that's like twice my size, just in case. You know what I
Hey
mean?
man, it's always good to know, man, just in case. But that's what's
Yeah.
up, man. Clinton over here
And
keeping busy.
yeah, I mean, everybody in the industry that I work with, Ruben Ramirez, Baby Horchata, he's a comedian, you know what I mean? Or you guys, or whatever, you're all like, do you even sleep? I was like, kinda. I'm
man.
write, podcast, film direct. I'm a martial artist. I don't know, man.
Yeah, man, you're doing a lot. So that's kind of what I wanted to ask you is like, one of the main things we'll get into is that, you don't, not well, I guess over here, so like we're biased, right? Because New York and Jersey, right? I feel like we have this, especially where I'm at in Jersey. Like I live very close to New York City, right?
Right.
So we have this thing to where it's like we were pretty much forced the hustle.
Yeah.
Like
the hustle.
I could see the fucking New York City from our like school, and from if I went on my roof right now, I could see New York City. So the point is like over here, I feel like we kind of have that like. As kids, you get that dream of like, damn, I could be one day in film, or I could be in New York, or like almost like in LA. Like imagine you live in LA, or I could live Hollywood. So like, for us, there's a lot of people who are just like, who end up doing things and they're not that serious about it because of our lifestyle. Because literally, like, we live like where the rappers live, all that stuff.
Oh
right?
yeah,
So you get a lot of that. But what I wanted to ask is like, and also like I said, I'm ignorant to Illinois, but like. How, like that's really dope. I thought of like for someone from you don't really hear that in those states of like in those random like
the
middle
Midwest.
America states.
Yeah.
Like I think that's so dope. So I wanted to ask is like, how far along? Like when did really it come about that you had the dreams of doing what you want to do now? Like and because you know what I'm saying? Like it's you don't hear those stories no more. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't hear those things. You hear at least everyone over here is like, oh, like to be a rapper is like everyone's thing, and it's very very common because of how we all kind of live around here.
Yeah, it's like in LA, everybody's in the movie industry. It's like New York, or Detroit or whatever. Everybody's a rapper. You know what I mean? Like, so let's get into the story of Clint Robinson. Yeah. So I was born and raised in the exact city. Well, I was born in the exact city I'm in right now, Lincoln, Illinois, which is about 20 minutes outside of Springfield. But my mom and dad got a divorce. My mom met my stepdad and moved down to a suburb outside of Atlanta, Georgia that's about 40 miles away of Atlanta, you know what I mean? Just for people's geography lesson, we'll just call it Atlanta. So I've always like been raised with this idea of you work, you come home, you spend time with family, you know what I mean? And that's never sat with me. I've never been like, sit down. Like, I've always wanted to do something. Even when I was in elementary school, I was writing. I was out hanging out with my friends, doing stupid crap that boys do. You know what I mean? Throwing rocks at cars and shit like that. Beating the crap out of each other with sticks. Like, we got into jousting matches on our bikes. You know what I mean? Like, stupid crap boys do. But I've always, like, for my 9th birthday, I asked, the only thing I wanted for Christmas was a camera, a video camera. Like, that's all I wanted. And like, I think we talked about this on my podcast. Like, I would just record stupid little videos with my friends or whatever, basically recreating Scream or Blair Witch or whatever was out at that time. You know what I mean?
It's crazy. It's very similar childhoods.
Yeah, very similar. And then, when I hit 13, we moved down to Florida. Like
What year is this?
So when I was 9 was about 2001, 2002. And then when I was 13, now I'm doing math. 2005.
What do you think it was that you wanted to start buying that, like to buy that camera and to do those things?
What got me was Empire Strikes Back. I don't know why. I watched it on VHS. Some of you people don't even know what VHS is. Watched it on VHS. Like, I think I watched it so much that, like, the tape snapped. You know what I mean? Like, it just, I wore that thing out. Like, I watched every Friday the 13th. I watched every Nightmare on Elm Street. Mind you, I'm a 9-year-old, 10-year-old kid watching all this stuff. You know, Quentin Tarantino, like, I was super into, Reservoir Dogs, and I was also super into Boondock Saints. Not a Quentin Tarantino film, but like I was big into those things, like stuff that was like way past what a 9-year-old, 10-year-old should be understanding.
All of us did back then.
Yeah, and it's just like I understood it, and I was like trying, like at that point I was like writing movies, but it was more like paragraphs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
you were writing, but
I was.
Also it's like
I've always been a writer. Yeah, it's. And like I've always been wanting to do that, and like my nickname my entire life has been Clinton Tarantino. Just because, yeah, I know, I love it. I almost made that like my rap name, but I'm not a good rapper, so like, you know. That's one industry I'm not breaking into yet. But anyways, like, it's just always been that thing. Like, it's always been the thing my parents has talked about is, like, film. That's the only thing I've ever shown an interest in my entire life. Well, creativity.
Yeah, well, because you pretty much, I guess you saw these films and you enjoyed them so much you wanted to create them yourself.
Well, I was like the only 11-year-old at the time that was like sitting there watching the behind the scenes stuff. You know what I mean? Like sitting there watching movies with commentaries and things like that, stuff that like most adults don't even know about nowadays. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And then like we moved to, so like that's around the time the housing market crashed and stuff. So my parents, like, it sucks. My mom and stepdad, they lost their house at that time, so we ended up having to move to Florida. So I was like about 2 hours away from Miami, you know what I mean? So like I've always been like big city adjacent, you know what I mean? So I've never had this mindset that like a lot of these like small communities in the Midwest have of like, you know, you work, you go home, spend time with family, church on Sundays, you know, like help out in the community. I've always had this, I gotta be pushing forward. You know what I mean? I gotta be grinding. I gotta, like, I had this mindset that at 25 I was gonna direct like an Oscar-winning film. Like that's out. That's past. I'm 27. It hasn't happened yet, guys. But it will in the future. But I had that unrealistic expectation. You know what I mean?
So you kept up with it, basically after those years?
When I got into Florida, my high school had this cool class. It was television productions. So I took that. Somehow I took it 7 times in the 4 years I was in high school. So I got into that, you know, and it was basically like the first 2 years you were doing the school's internal broadcast news station, you know what I mean? So it's just like what's like the sports teams and like clubs and stuff like that. And then when it got to the 3rd year, I was just like, dude, I want to start doing like, I basically did YouTube videos for my school's internal broadcast station. Like, I got a group together. We called I forgot what we called ourselves, but it was like a little group of like 7 of us. And we were doing like stuff you would see on YouTube nowadays, just like comedy sketches, spoofs. Like we had a big problem with fighting in our school. I'm sure a lot of high schools have a big problem with people just beating the crap out of each other. We're all angry, hormonal teenagers. So we just did a lot of anti-fighting videos, but we made them look cool. So like me and one of my friends learned how to green screen, and we started making like Dragon Ball Z fight scenes or like Star Wars fight scenes. Like, that's dope. I did something ridiculous, and like when my mom saw it, like I almost got my ass beat. Like we basically did like a Pirates of the Caribbean style fight where it was like one take, right? But like we were going around with fake swords, and then like I ended up hopping in my PT Cruiser and driving it, and I had 2 kids on the top of my car like swinging at each other and stuff while I was driving, and then like I jumped out of the car while it was moving, and we captured the car moving on camera with nobody in it. Now, mind you, 2 seconds after that camera turned off, we're sprinting after my car to keep it from wrecking into the school.
Of course.
But, like, we kept into that, and then I actually founded my school's movie club. So, I directed, wrote, produced a film called Night School. It never got anywhere other than finished. It didn't go to a festival or anything just because the school didn't want to release rights and stuff like that. So it's kind of just sitting there in dust. But, like, I did that. And I was gonna go to Full Sail University after high school down in Winter Park, Florida. It's right next to Orlando. But at that time, they were nationally accredited, but not state accredited, so the credits wouldn't have really counted for anything. So I ended up like just getting disheartened and got into construction and did that for a long time until this year. And now I've done 3 movies. I'm doing a 4th one next weekend. It's going to actually be part of something called the United States of Horror Anthology Series, which is going to be released internationally on DVD and available online. And I haven't really announced this, like, it's not a for sure thing, but I might be getting funded for a feature length next year.
Okay.
So,
that's what's up, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's only $150K, but, you know,
that's
a lot. That's a lot. I'll be able to pay my people, and that's what's important. Yeah, and man, next year, I got 4 paid assistant directing gigs. I got 2 features I'm going to write and direct, along with the feature that's going to get funded, hopefully, and a couple other shorts, you know, so 10-year gap almost, but it was almost worth it just because, like, somehow Central Illinois got a banging film community that nobody really understands why. All of us that are in it are just like, I don't understand, but okay.
Yeah, no, that's so fire, man. And what I want to ask you, though, is do you think if you didn't have that option in school, like in high school, like you guys didn't have that club or whatever, do you think you would ever did it?
No, I don't think I would have been able to. Just because, like you're learning, it's really hard to teach yourself. It's like, really, especially back then, it was next to impossible, because that's like when YouTube was just starting. So it's just back then it was just stuff like Shane Dawson and stuff like that. It wasn't like how-to videos, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it wasn't like now. Like, now in 2020, we could like
now I can go and figure out how to build a supercomputer if I wanted to. Like you know what I mean? I can pretty much do whatever I want with YouTube, but back then we didn't have that resource. Yeah. So it was like I had to have my TV productions teacher, Mr. Boughton, teach me everything. And like I still talk to him to this day. He's like a big mentor in my life. And I think like it's important for our schools are cutting like what's important. Our schools are cutting like those arts programs, those tech programs, and like honestly they should be keeping them, because like it's an industry that if we don't have that in our school system, it's going to die.
Yeah, and that the reason why I asked that is because we never had that. So very similar. Like I said, I grew up. It's scary how relatable we are in that aspect, right? So what happened with me is I was kind of like you and just did all that type of stuff. But then once middle school started and high school, that kind of just left, right? Because there was no option at that point. Like at that point, it was, conversations about okay, well maybe college, but at that. And also I'm a little older than you, so it was like even YouTube wasn't even out yet. It was like over here we had like New York Film Academy, and it was like everything money too. You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't.
It's expensive. Yeah.
And I
if you don't have grants or scholarships, you're screwed.
Like film school is one of those things. And my mom was always very brutally honest with me. Like we grew up like pretty poor, and she'd be like, oh well, like I don't know, like you can maybe financial aid, all that. And that's as kind of far as it went. It was almost one of those things like we didn't think the way the world was going to be the way it is now. So it was kind of like, damn, okay, you're going to do all that. You're going to go to school for it or whatnot. And I kind of just let the dream go. But I do feel like if it was like a school program or something like that in high school.
Or like just an AV club or something. Yeah,
but we had none of that. We had the closest we had was a drama club. And that was it, and they did a couple basic shows, and it wasn't even that very.
Yeah, they did plays. Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't really film. Yeah.
Yeah, so it didn't really attract me too much, but yeah, man. So it's crazy, and I think that is powerful because that you had that, because that led you to let you to keep going into that.
Yeah,
who knows?
If I didn't have it, like even before I took that class, I was almost like giving up on it. You know what I mean? Just because like film school is an expensive thing. Exactly. it's expensive, and then like a lot of them you have to buy your own editing computer or edit at what's at the school, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so, and like they all want you to have like Apple, like, and Apple is not cheap. I don't even own anything Apple related for my filming and my personal stuff. You know what I mean?
It is. I just bought myself a MacBook Pro, and it is expensive.
It's ridiculous. Like, I looked at it and I was like, I can get that, or I can get this $800 gaming computer, and it can be multi-purposed.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, if I didn't have that, it would have been, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now, which means like my actors that work with me wouldn't be working with me. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of them, one of them, Marcus Jorgensen, he said that this was going to be his last attempt at acting, and then he was just going to stick with his psychology stuff. So, like, if he wouldn't have gotten this role, that wouldn't have existed. Alternate universe, Earth B wouldn't have existed. He would have went back to not pursuing his passion of acting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's, like, ridiculous to think that even, like, I say my little tiny crappy short film because that's basically what it is, you know what I mean? Like, in the grand scheme of things, this little film...
You don't want to say it like that, man. You can't talk like that.
This small, minuscule, we'll say minuscule instead of crappy, this minuscule project that really hasn't impacted anybody besides 200 people in the entire world impacted somebody in such a positive way that they are now pursuing their acting career. They're getting other roles that aren't even associated with me. You know what I mean?
That's how you that's how you look at it, though, because that spider web, and I've been noticing that a lot too in my life, and those are the things that you really do got to focus on, because that in itself is fucking nuts when you really break it down.
It's ridiculous. It's
now
insane.
How is that going to affect things?
He's going to end up being, a few years from now, an actor mentor to somebody else. You know, he's going to impact somebody else. Or not even, it doesn't have to be film related. He could just end up having that confidence to be a better person to somebody else, which, I mean, Marcus is like one of the best people alive in the world. But, like, I'm pretty sure if you didn't have a car and you're like, hey, can I have your car? He would just hand you the keys and walk away. He's like one of those people. But, like, I've impacted all these people, like my wardrobe person, Courtney Rainier. She by all means shouldn't even be working with me. She's worked on House of Cards. She's worked on the It remakes. Like, she has no purpose working with me. But she just happened to be stuck in Central Illinois and decided to jump onto my project. And now, like, she said that being on my project has made her feel like she has a purpose again. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things you don't realize when you're doing this stuff. You're just so focused on this little project. It's not a big deal. It's a big deal to pretty much everybody involved in it. You know what I mean?
1,000%.
And, like, I've gotten messages on Facebook because of, like, my podcast or my films or just, like, my posts on, like, we're a part of a lot of the same film production company pages and stuff. Like, I get messages all the times like, you've inspired me to keep pushing forward. Like, I see you pushing forward. You've inspired me to keep pursuing this. And I'm just like, bro, I'm just some dude. Like, right, I'm just some recently divorced dude living in my dad's basement right now. Like, what are you saying? I'm inspiring you.
You can't downplay. You know, people a lot of times they downplay their greatness. You know what I'm saying?
I call it humility. I could be sitting here having Oscars and be like, I'm not that great.
Of course, yeah, no, a lot of people are gonna have that too, but it's also, you know, you got to remember, like, at the same time,
I understand the impact, and that's why, like, I make sure, like, at least when it comes to the entertainment industry, I have a positive impact on people. And, like, I mean, I'm one of those people, I try to have a positive impact everywhere, but sometimes I'm just in a crappy mood and I'm like, go away.
Yeah, no, I haven't.
But, like, it's just wild. You're right. Like, without that, a lot of these positive things I've had happen wouldn't have happened if I didn't have that course in school. And, like, I advocate a lot for, like, it doesn't take a big budget. Like, honestly, if we look at, like, what the schools are putting their budgets to, I feel like a lot of it's misplaced. Yeah. And that's, like, a whole other thing. But, like, it's important for kids in high school to have that creative outlet. Like, not everybody wants to be in gym. Yeah. Not everybody wants to be in shop. Not everybody wants to be in drama or band. Like, you need other things. Like, my school, we had a graphic design class. We had drafting. We had band, jazz band, PE, weightlifting, television production. Like, we had so many different things for kids to get into.
That is powerful. That's good.
That it's important. Like, not everybody is going to go be a doctor or a lawyer or be in the military. You know what I mean? Like, some people have, like, these creative things, and I feel like that's why there's a lot of, like, dropout rates. There's a lot of, like, angry teenagers that, like, could just be, they don't have that outlet in school. You know what I mean? And,
they don't know that direction.
And they don't have, like, that thing to focus on to get them through the day, you know what I mean? They might be failing in math and English because they don't have that one class that makes them feel like they belong there. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you have that one class, you're gonna just see that improvement in that kid's educational process.
1,000%, man. You're so right, because it's like, in our school, we didn't have, we might even have that. We had band, sports, drama, and like 2 other little things, and if that, like, we didn't have any, like, none of those, like, shop like that. That was a far-fetched thing that, like, my dad had back then, but never. And it was crazy, because you're right, like, so many kids could use that type of stuff to learn, and they just didn't have much things. It was pretty much like almost sports, and that's really about it. And even sports wasn't even that diverse. It was like the basic 3 or 4.
Baseball, football, basketball. There you go. That's it.
All, and luckily we had wrestling. You know what I'm saying? But it's like,
like my school, we had wrestling, soccer, swim team, golf, tennis, lacrosse. Good. Like, we had all that, and then, like, right next door, you could take the option to go to the tech center, which had cooking, it had automotive, it had crazy. Welding, it had, like, so, like, it's just like allotment, right? Like, and our government isn't focused enough on allotting resources to developing our future. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, if these kids actually had something to look forward to, like just one class a day, they'd go to school. They'd stay in school. They'd do well enough to keep that class. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's not hard. I mean, I get financially and this and that and the other, but, let's all be honest. There's a lot of misallocated money when it comes to our government's tax money.
So we don't even need to get into that, because they all know that shit is just there.
We know that there's a lot of misallocated money.
We only had one. We actually had one school in the area, not even in my town, because over here everything is just small towns, like by 2 miles of the towns.
Right.
We had one that the whole county would go. It was a special ed school. It was the only school that had it. It was for special education. And those kids got to pick, and it was crazy, because it was like 2 different forms of special ed. Like, it was a basic special ed was half of it, and then the other half was very deep special ed. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the real specific terms are for it, but those were the only things, actually. And even those were pretty simple. It was like automotive, hair, and like 4 other things, but that was the only thing. But it was crazy, because you had to actually have a disability, quote unquote, to get in.
That's ridiculous. Like, my tech center, like, there were girls in my school that were graduating with both a nursing degree and a diploma, because they could choose, instead of taking electives like PE, band, and stuff, they could go to the tech center and take their nursing classes. Wow. So, like, they came out a CNA. Now, mind you, that's like the lowest level of nurse, but they already had a career outside of high school. They were making $15 an hour outside of high school. That's crazy. Like, that's going into a whole other thing, but it's just like, that was their passion. Like, my school had television production, so that was my passion. I still have my teacher a letter of recommendation for whatever film school I want to get into. If I want to get into film school. Like, at this point, I'm learning the film school of the streets. But, like, which, I mean, I recommend is the best way to learn, because, like, if you're like me, I learned through failure. So the best way for me is to just, like, try and try again. I'll keep running my head into the wall until I get through. You know what I mean?
But that's how you have to do it. You know what I'm saying? And we can learn now. We're blessed to have the opportunities we have. Like, the fact that me and you, we make the content we make, and it's like, my guy Zane and your team. It's like the fact that we out here making the content we making now, without going to like some crazy school and having crazy money. You know what I'm saying?
You don't have to get like a $200,000 degree, and like, film school's expensive, guys. Whoever's listening, like, or watching, it's expensive, man. Like, it's not the same as, like, going and getting a communications degree. Like, you could do that. That's cheaper. But it's not the same. You're learning all forms of media communication. Whereas film school, you're going into the nitty-gritty, learning how to operate a red with a fishbowl lens and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, you're learning deep cut stuff that, like, me, myself, I'll just Google or YouTube search something watch a video for 5 minutes and be like, I'm an expert now.
And it's crazy because you learn it. Like, you can't even knock it. Because it is nuts, man. The stuff that you could learn on the internet.
I know it's a vast resource, and I might get stuck while I'm trying to figure out how to operate that Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K. I might get stuck watching some like ridiculously funny videos on YouTube, but I will get there eventually.
Yeah.
You just start going down that rabbit hole of recommended, and that's just what it is.
Yeah. Now, what do you tell the people? Like, I bet, because, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you don't have this, but I feel like even though me and you know this, and we kind of know what we know about the internet and YouTube and how things are possible, you know what I'm saying? Like that we could make a web series and we can, and we'll get friction, right? There's a lot of people who don't understand that and think that we're throwing our lives away. Am I right? Do you have any of that?
I've had a lot of that. Well, at the start. At this point, people are starting to like see the pieces connect that I'm actually success. Yeah. But success, I call myself a success because people know me now, right?
Yeah.
I might not be making a lot of money off of it, but I'm a success in my book because
1,000%.
I did it. I've been doing it for 8 months. I haven't fallen off yet. So, like, it's still going. I still have traction.
Better than you were yesterday, exactly.
Every day is better than the last day. But I just tell them, like, well, first off, I ask them, how do you quantify success? And at that point, like, usually it gets them to shut up. But,
yeah, exactly.
It's just like, well, money, this, that, support your family. And, like, I had one guy, and I was like, bro, first, like, I don't want to, like, sound... This is more for everybody listening. I don't want it to sound like I was being a jerk. But this is somebody that had, like, that's unemployed, sitting at home doing nothing. So I'm just like, well, first off, don't come at me about success, you know what I mean? Because I'm happy in my life. Are you happy in your life? Because that's what I quantify success as. Happy with what I'm doing, and I want to do it every day. I don't dread it.
Exactly.
And
you actually as long
as I'm enjoying myself, like, I don't give a rat's ass what you think.
Gunshots.
Like, that's where I'm at. Like, I don't dread when I have a deadline for my writing. I'm always, like, a week or two ahead. Except during that period of the divorce, but, like, that's life happening. That's gunk in the works. But at this point, I'm moving forward with the podcast. I'm doing video formats and live streams now. Like, that's something I wasn't doing 4 weeks ago, you know what I mean? Like, I'm getting the format better. Like, before I was like an interview a day. Now I'm just doing like one interview a week, one review a week. And then I'm going to do every 2 weeks, like that round table thing. Like, so I'm getting a proper format.
Yeah, format is everything. You know what I'm saying? Format and the scheduling is like, when you have a lot going on, because you do have a lot going on, just kind of like myself, it's like, if you don't have that schedule, man, that will drive.
You'll get buried. Buried.
Like,
you'll lose your passion for it.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I keep like burping. I don't know.
Nah, man, it's all good, man. Let that out.
Let that bad energy out. But I look at them and I'm just like, I'm not throwing my life away. I feel like if I was doing that 9 to 5 grind with just looking to move up that corporate ladder, that would be throwing my life away.
Yeah.
Like, me, I'm happy, and they're like, oh, you're going to be doing so much traveling. That's freaking great. People usually pay and have to schedule to travel, and here I am getting paid to go travel. Like, whoop-de-doo, man. Like, I have dreams. I want to go, probably the next 2 years, I'm going to move to Chicago, like, into actual Chicago. You know what I mean?
Fire. And
then after that, it's either New York, Vancouver, or LA.
Hey, man, come on over to New York. We'll treat you right, man.
Well, I mean, I know I already got connections. I got you. I got Tori Jock. I got Sharice Naomi out there on that coast. Like I already got my film. I already got my film connects out there. You know what I mean?
Word. Look at that.
I also got my Canadian connects in Vancouver too. So like.
Word. I gotta connect you with our co-host and our cinematographer Zane.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Zane. He's been motivating me, inspiring me a lot. You gotta meet him, man.
I
gotta get you out here.
Yeah, you've been talking to me about him. But, like, if my production company gets really into it here, I might end up staying in Chicago. You know what I mean? It's all where the industry takes me. And these people, like, we've talked about this on my podcast. It's like these people that aren't creative want to, like, beat down creatives. Like, you're not a success. You're wasting your life. It's just, like, that's how you quantify existence. How I quantify existence is every project I make is a success. I don't care if I get negative ROI, if I just break even, or I get a positive ROI, that's a success, you know? And that's what I say to anybody in this industry. Like, there's so many people out there that want to look at it as a business. And, you know, it's 60-40, you can split it either way. At the end of the day, there is money, there are employees, there are contracts, so there is a business aspect. But I look at it more like I've told you, people getting together and playing pretend, only we're in the big leagues. Like, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. Playing pretend, man. Yo, that's what's up, man. And you know, how were you always like savvy with like social media and everything, or is like that?
I'm learning as I go.
Okay.
Before I knew how to post something and like something. Now I'm learning, you know, live streaming. I'm learning tagging. I'm learning like the proper tags for things to get the right amount of traction. You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking for an assistant right now to help me manage all of it because like I've got the film, I've got podcast, I've got other stuff going on. Like, I'm helping run another YouTube channel now. Like, I've got a lot of stuff going on, so I'm probably gonna get like somebody that runs some of my social media for me.
Word.
But it's something I'm looking at. You know, that'll happen eventually. I try not to put targets on things like that. Like, the right person will drop in my lap at the right time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. But how did you find those groups, those film groups? Like, what made you think of that?
Honestly, I was just trying to get good track. I was just trying to find a cinematographer at the time. Like, that's why I got into it. And then I started thinking about getting into having film people come on my podcast and talk to me, because the original format was just me and friends talking about movies. And then I eventually realized I could be doing something more with my podcast than just bullshitting. And I was like, I want to like support the indie film community. Like, that's my main goal. And I was like, how do I do that? I have a podcast. So I was like, all right. So I took 2 weeks off from my original formatted podcast, let my co-host know. I was like, hey, I'm changing everything. Thank you guys. It's been fun, but I feel like this could become more than just fun. It could become like a way to help the community.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I just joined all those groups looking for a cinematographer and ended up using it as a tool to meet all you guys in the community, get you guys on there, and just try to spread your guys' message, because like I've learned so much talking to people on this podcast, and I feel like I've helped people get in contact with other people in their area to like work with each other. You know what I mean? Like, I know I've had a lot of people out of Kentucky for some reason. Like, little ass Kentucky has been like 50% of my podcast, and I don't get it. Okay. But that's interesting. You know, I've helped connect the Kentucky community. But it's been dope. Like, I've met some people that are like, I'm in the industry, they've been in 1 or 2 movies, and I'm like, well, it's cool talking to you. Like, thanks for coming on the podcast. Come at me in a year when you've been on more, because I can already guarantee you, being on my podcast, I have directors all across the country listening. You're going to get work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Look at that. He knows, like, you're going to get the work. There we go. That's
I've had it before. I've had people hire Courtney to do costume work because of being on my podcast. Like, I've had it. You know, it's... And like, that's why I got on those groups, was a cinematographer and ended up like I joined 3 of them for a cinematographer, and then I just ended up realizing I could join a bunch of them to find people to connect with.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason, man. And networking is key. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's the biggest thing with this industry. It's you're not gonna find work or people to work with if you're not gonna network.
Yeah.
And it used to be, festivals was how you networked, and you still can. Like, you and I have talked about the usefulness of festivals, and they've kind of changed in what they are as a tool.
Online is one big festival. Facebook's a festival.
Oh, God, yes. It's a good one or a bad one.
Exactly.
It just depends. But you can learn so much from the groups, too, because people are, like, posting technical things. You can see what other people are working on. You can watch other people's work on there. So you can see, like, the skill level of other people out there, and it's a good way to like grade yourself. And like, not to brag, but I put myself in like the top 20% just because of like there are some people that just make movies and there are people that make films, you know what I mean? And like it's just interesting. It's a way to network with people. It's a way to like study the film industry itself. It's a way to find people to work with you. It's a way to find people that you can go work with. I recommend actors, just every actor should get on as many of those groups as they can, however far they're willing to travel, just because there's always casting calls too. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there, man. Facebook groups is amazing. Like, it's funny because, I didn't know about Facebook groups until a couple of years ago. I started using them for different things, like accountability, motivation, and stuff like that. I ended up in one because I'm a big follower of the motivational speaker Eric Thomas.
Right.
Yeah, so Eric Thomas, and then, I started in his group, and it was amazing for the networking. Then I started my group, and my group has been doing really, really well, Therapy Without a Degree. And then I think we ended up in the film. I think Zane is the one that first found the film group, and he started sharing things. And I went in, and I was like, whoa. It's like, I'm loving it. You know what I'm saying?
It's amazing, like, even if you just have, like, tech questions, instead of going on YouTube and scrolling through there, if it's, like, a basic tech question, you can post it in 5 seconds, have your answer. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you see, I be doing that. Like, I'm like, what's up? Tell me.
Like, what lens should I use? And then people will tell you exactly what lens you should use for exactly what you want, and it's amazing. Or even if you just have questions like you're debating on buying Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K versus 4K, like, what's the difference? And really, it's just the screen formatting. Like, because there's no broadcasting in 6K, it's just, like, how big of a picture you want. And I recommend just getting the 4K, just because it's almost $1,000 cheaper. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's a big difference.
That's a big difference for not much difference spec-wise. Now, if you really, really want an amazing camera, a Red, but those things are stupid expensive.
One
day, and then you gotta buy all the peripherals.
It's crazy to even rent them, man.
I know. That's why I'm just getting a Blackmagic 4K. Yeah. It's not that bad of a camera. It's a great camera. It's
Netflix approved?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Well, it's because it's if it films in either RAW or LOG, whichever acronym you want to use, which just means it's basically devoid of life, and then you go in and color grade yourself and stuff. So that's why I like it, because you can get it to look exactly like you want it to look. Yeah. It's a little extra work in the editing process, kind of, because you can't just film it and keep it as is. But it ends up looking amazing. Once I have the trailer finished for the scratching, you'll see what I'm talking about. It looks amazing.
Can't wait to see, man. I can't wait.
I did all the visual editing in 29 hours straight. Didn't sleep. So.
Hey man, you got to grind out here, bro.
Well, it's one of those things, you get excited about something and then you don't want to quit.
Yeah, I'm like that too, man. Like the fact that like we're not releasing our show until probably like the late spring, because I only did 2 episodes so far. I only filmed 2 episodes, so I still got to film at least. It depending on how many I do the first season. I got to see. I mean, in my head, I want to do 10, but everyone's like, nah, you should probably only do 5.
5 for a first one, see how it goes. Get used to it.
Exactly. So I still got to do 3 more. So I'm like, by the time, and if I want to just drop them like a Netflix thing so where people could just binge them, I still got to wait a little bit.
Yeah, you might not hit that spring deadline, bro.
Yeah. Oh no, of course, but we'll see. We got 2 done right now, and we're filming every other month. So every other month we're filming. It's been taking us 5 days to film one episode.
Standard.
Yeah, 5 days to film. Sometimes 6. The first one was like 7 days, and then the last one we did in 5. So it's an average of like 6. Then 2 days to edit. At least just for the editing, just to get everything lined up and color graded and all that. Now we're on the music part. I gotta send it over to somebody for music. That's the stage we're at.
Yeah, that's
the fun part.
It's fun post-production.
Exactly.
You don't expect it to be that long. Like I filmed the scratching 15-minute film in 14 hours. We did 14 hours straight. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's just what we could afford at that time. I could afford the cinematographer one day. So I was like, 14 hours straight, guys.
Yeah, just
I love you.
Just getting it done, man. Because, that stuff is expensive, man. People don't understand. Like, that's a whole
$600. Because I had to pay for him to come. Because he was from Arkansas. So I had to pay for him to come from Arkansas and go back to Arkansas and be there for a day. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, you don't think about the expense of coffee, of food, of water. We had a party the night before, so like that was my idea though. I wanted everybody to know each other before we got on set. So, break the ice, became a family automatically. And then like I put $3,000 into the scratching so far, man. And it's going to be amazing. It's better than I ever could have hoped it could have been. But what I'm getting at here is, like, you don't expect, like, that shoot time. Like, you're like, it's going to be a 14-minute film. It's not going to take that long. It takes forever, man. Yeah. My standard rule is for every minute on camera is an hour off camera. Like, you know what I mean? And then if you have, like, a lot of people on set or really intricate scenes, you're going to be spending more time,
Yeah, man. Everything takes time, man. What we did, Scream took us 3 days. 2 days to shoot, 1 day to edit.
Yep.
Amber took 2 days, 1 day to shoot, actually 3. 1 day to light, just to plan lighting.
Yeah, because you were in your apartment, and your apartment for sure does not look like that.
Nah, not that dark and crazy. So we literally had to sit here and figure and plan and also plan the shots. Like, we were doing all that last minute. So that was 1 day. 1 day of shooting, 1 day to edit. It takes time, man. People don't realize, like,
oh yeah. My film, we were shooting at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and it was supposed to look like it was midnight. So like we had to go outside and we got blue tarps. We put them over the windows because I wanted some eerie lighting in. You know what I mean? Like
I used the black garbage bags. That's what we use, black garbage bags.
Yeah, it's just like you have to plan that out, and then like the camera angles, and then like people don't understand how much goes into setting up those sets. It's like It's a science.
That and the money. Like, it's funny.
The money.
Friend,
the money. You do not expect the money.
some of my close friends are they're like, yo, Amber was like too short. No, Scream, we need more, man. You gotta start doing features, man. Like, and I'm like, bro, like, do you understand, number one, the money? Like, Scream costs, I forget the budgets of the Scream costs like $600. The therapy episodes are costing us, I spent about the same thing as you so far on that project. So far about $3,000, so it's about $1,500 per episode.
Yeah, you don't expect that. A feature, you're looking at about 13 days of shooting.
Yeah.
And features have more people. You got more crew. You got more locations. You're looking. That's why I was like $150,000 for a feature. At the end of the day, probably not going to be a lot.
Nah, but hey, at the end of the day,
somebody else is paying for my feature.
Man, yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody's getting paid. I don't know if it's going to be to scale, but everybody's getting paid.
Good. Yeah, exactly. Which is going to lead into a convo I want to have with you when we off mic. But
you want to get paid?
No. Nah. Well, we'll talk about it off mic. We'll talk about it mic.
Yeah, we'll talk about off mic.
So where can they find your stuff, man? Like, where can they find the films? Where
Right now, my website is in construction. I don't have a URL yet.
Okay.
But you can find me on Facebook at R Productions. Don't look me up personally. I won't accept you. But go like that page, and on that page you'll be able to find the Scratching Films page. I don't have another page for the Searching because the Searching is just a 5-minute short that's a prequel to the Scratching. So it's kind of just tying in. I've had a lot of people, like cast and crew specifically, were just asking questions about a certain event that was mentioned in the film, and I was just like, you know what? Instead of just having to answer this all the time, I'll just go make something that goes and answers this question.
Nice.
And that's actually, the Searching is the one that's actually going to be released in the United States of Horror anthology. I don't have a release date on that yet. I just have to submit it by December 15th. Once it's submitted, he'll let us know when that anthology is going to release. I know there's going to be a launch party in New York City in October that I'm going to be going to for that anthology.
What month?
October of next year.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well,
so
hopefully I'll see you in person before then.
Hopefully, but at least then I'll be out there.
We gotta do this in person, man. I'll fly out there, man. If you got a project for me, let me know.
Absolutely, man. You can find my podcast, R&R Cinetalks. I just changed hosting platforms, so it's kind of weird right now. But you can find that on Spotify at least. I got a YouTube channel that's coming up soon. I haven't launched it yet just because I'm trying to get a backlog of a couple episodes on there before I click launch. Because, nobody wants to go to a YouTube channel and see one video. Yeah. That's not a fun time. At least I know if I went to a YouTube channel and saw one video, I'd be like, I'll be back later, and I'll never return.
Yeah, it's like,
so I'm waiting until I have about a backlog of 10 or 15 videos up on there, and then launch it, because people like to binge watch their YouTube. So
you're right about that, man. YouTube is a job in itself.
Oh, I'm aware. That's why I've been pushing off making one forever. But eventually, my films are going to end up on there. Unless they get distributors, then they can't be on there, but you can at least find trailers.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. I mean, I got social media, R&R Productions 93. If you're interested in talking to me, have any film ideas, just want some film advice or anything, email me at rnrproductions93@gmail.com. So, just don't add my personal page on Facebook. That's just all I'm saying, man.
Yeah, exactly, just that. But that's fire, man. You're definitely an inspiration. You know what I'm saying? That's why I definitely wanted to do this podcast, because I wanted to show people that you can, if you have these dreams and you have these goals, obviously you're still working on everything, but like you said, everything we do, is a fucking success. So I want people to leave with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, as long as you're making something. Yeah, as long as you make something, it's a success. It doesn't have to be great. It doesn't have to be amazing. As long as it's something that you and your heart are proud of. Now, analytically, you cannot be proud of it, but you're proud of it in your heart, that's a success. I'm never analytically proud of anything I make just because I nitpick and I can see all the flaws. But I'm always spiritually and emotionally proud of everything I create because I'm proud of the people that worked with it on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's important. Everything you make is important, and it goes out there and influences the world, even if it's in the smallest way possible. If you just made one person happy that day, success. You know what I mean? If you properly informed somebody, that's a success, and that's the most important thing out there. Just as long as your project creates positivity, love, or some form of support. If you're going out there creating hatred, that's a failure, man. And I just want to throw that out there. But this industry, if you do anything in it, you're successful in it. You don't have to be, George Lucas. You don't have to be Spielberg, Howard. You don't have to be Nicolas Cage or Bruce Willis or whatever. You be you in the industry, and somebody will appreciate you for it.
Exactly. And it's you can do it. You know what I'm saying? It's possible. You know
it's possible. It's possible. Even if you are just making something on your phone, you made something. Now, people out there, and I've seen it on Facebook a lot, they make fun of people going out there filming something on their phone. It's just well, that's all they could afford at that time. If you make something on your phone, next time go and make something with your phone and a shotgun mic. Now, just keep, as long as you keep going uphill, even if it's half a step at a time, you're doing it. You're
Right.
making it. Even if you aren't making a step forward, but you're staying where you are, you're doing it. It doesn't matter. You don't need to go out with an ARI and all this crap. You don't need to go out there with a Rhodes mic. Go out there with what you can, and as long as your idea is important to you, it'll be important to somebody else.
Word, man. Small steps will always equal great distances.
Exactly. It
Every single
might
time.
take you 1,000 more small steps than it will for somebody making big steps to get there, but you'll get to the same distance no matter what. You know what I mean? And you know, Blair Witch was a $30,000 project.
Huh.
Look where that went.
Yeah.
Paranormal Activity, $80,000 project. Saw was a $15,000 project. Like
Yeah.
all these things, man. I'm not saying, and that's why I say horror is the easiest to break into. That's why I said that at the very beginning. Those 3 indie films were horror films, and look at them. They're franchises, multi-billion-dollar franchises.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, it's hard. It's hard to be a household name, but it's not hard to do something. Even if you just go and enter your local film festival and get nominated, that's a success. I had a short film recently that was just nominated for Best Cinematography. I didn't win it, but I was nominated, and I was the cinematographer, so I was proud. You know
That's
what I mean?
fine.
Like,
Look at that.
like it won Best Actor. That film won Best Actor. So like I got a W. You know what I mean? I got a W, and I got nominations for Best Writer, Best Cinematographer, and that's what I was.
Yeah.
I didn't win them. I also feel like the committee was a little biased on that festival, so like we're going to other festivals as well. But like that's being nominated is the best thing. Being considered for a film to enter a festival is a big thing. Getting your film out there on Amazon Prime for like one of those free views is a big thing. Like finishing a project is a big thing. There's so many projects that go unfinished.
Word.
If you start a project and finish it, you are automatically in the top 50% of filmmakers. A lot of projects get left on the cutting room floor, man.
Yeah, a lot of people talk. A lot of people talk. A lot of people talk. A lot of people have ideas.
Yeah. There's
Ideas ain't
scripts.
shit.
There's scripts that'll sit there and rot away in a cupboard forever. There's films that just get left on that hard drive and never get edited. There's films that get edited and never get released. Like, if you get a film made, if you start, you're already in the top 90. If you finish, you're in the top 50. If you get it out there for people to see, you're in the top 30. So look at that. You're already like 70%. You're a C grade. You made it. Like, you're doing great, man. Like, it gets watched. Every view, everything that happens with that film after it's released is a success.
Word.
But don't sit on that one film. Be like me. I finish a project, I'm off to the next one. When my job with that film is done, I go off to the next one.
Exactly.
That's what you got to do. And like that's just what I have to do just because I'm anxious to get started on the next one, you know.
What sign are you?
Libra.
You're a Libra? Okay, yeah. I remember you telling me. Yep, I fuck with
Yep.
Libras. That's why. Yep. Libras
All
are
about
dope,
balance.
man.
Yeah.
Exactly. Balance is fucking key, man. We're giving you more gunshots. Sorry, man. Yo, thank you so much for coming on, bro. Like I said, everyone go follow him. All right, R&R Productions. Fire,
Yeah, man. I'll probably be on here again sometime.
Yes, man. Next time we gotta do it in person.
You know, flights right now not possible, but
Nah, man. Soon I'll come back.
Illinois is back down on like beginning lockdown, man. So
Well, yeah. Whenever the fuck all this stuff gets fixed.
whenever we don't have a plague, yeah.
Yeah. Whenever we're back to normal. Fucking, maybe I'll head out there, man. We'll creep out there, see what's going on in Illinois.
For sure, man. For sure.
I'm with it. So also at the end of my show too, usually everyone gives a little shout out to something that you think is dope. It doesn't have to be film related. It could be anything. It could be film related. It could be a TV show you saw that was cool, a restaurant you went to, something that you think not many people know about, but you know you thought it was dope.
All
You
right.
put people on.
There's a book series I just read the latest book to. I recommend everybody go check it out. It's called The Dresden Files by Jim Butcher. There's about 16 books in the series right now. I just read the latest one, Battlegrounds. dope book. A lot of plot twists. I actually cried a little bit. One of my favorite characters died. But I recommend you guys go check him out. He's also, the author is a Chicago native, Jim Butcher. And the book actually, the whole series takes place in Chicago. It's an urban fantasy. Main character, Harry Dresden, he's like a private investigator wizard. So it's pretty dope. I'd check it out. Like, I've read the book series like 3 times through.
What's the name of it one more time?
Dresden Files by Jim Butcher.
Dresden Files. Okay. Shout out to that, man. Good shit. And maybe they can actually get some of it for free. Is there an Audible for it or no?
It's on Audible. Yeah.
All right. Well, any of my listeners can get that for free. You just use my code audibletrial.com/therapy without a degree, and y'all can get that for free. All right. Look at that.
Look at that.
You got a recommendation and a free audiobook.
And you got your sponsor to get a plug.
Exactly. Look at that. Wasn't even planned, people. What am I shouting out for this week? I'm gonna give a shout out to a show that it caught my attention. So far, I just started it. And I don't really watch TV, but his ad caught my attention. It's called Giants. It's on BT Plus. So BT Plus, it's called Giants. Looks pretty dope. I really like the cinematography. I really like the lighting. I like all that type of stuff. So that was really, really cool. Story is kind of like, the story seems basic, but I'm curious to see what they do with it. So we'll see. No, I mean, the story just seems like, it's kind of like, they say 3 kids go to LA to pursue their dreams.
Pretty basic. Yeah.
But I don't know, because I mean,
we'll see.
It looks, the actors look pretty good. I'll send you the trailer for it. Like I said, it's
I'll
called
check
Giants.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, like I said, I love this shit because I was like, ooh, like they know what they're doing with the cinematography and the lighting and all that.
That's always a plus. Sometimes those shows, man, it's sketchy.
Yeah, man.
You can have a great series, but if you don't have good lighting and cinematography, I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah, that little stuff matters, man, as I've been learning. So, all right, people, it's been fun. We will be back with another episode soon, and that's about it, man. Any last words for the people, Clinton?
Nah, man, just chase your dreams. Don't let people beat you down. Don't let people tell you what you can or can't do. You know what I mean? Like, you just do you. You live your life for you and make you happy,
Word. Let's go. All right, bro. We out. Peace.
Peace.